At some point, it almost felt impossible, but here is exactly how I got into my PhD program in Sapienza University of Rome. Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Dinto, and for context, I am a PhD student at Sapienza University of Rome in Italy, and I am in my first year. And I got my PhD program last year and on a scholarship actually. But I'm going to be giving you the exact processes and timelines that I used in my application and how I left from, the master's degree holder and the worker to the PhD candidate. I know there are a lot of videos that give you a lot of generic advice about how to apply for a PhD, how to get into this school and how to get into that school, but this isn't one of those videos. In this video, I am going to be sharing from my personal experience what exactly did I do and how much time did it take. So I'm going to give you an unfiltered process of my steps, one after the other, the exact pathway, the exact processes that I had to follow, and how much time it took me and what was required at each step to be able to get into this PhD program. Let's start with the search for the programs in themselves. So I finished my master's program in 2023 and I was working as a civil engineer in Cameroon. And when I decided that I wanted to get a PhD in transport infrastructures, of course, the first thing would have been to search which institutions around the world were best to offer that program. I have to admit that I started with a blind search on the internet as usual, just following a few people on LinkedIn, just checking out a few institutions and all that. But I want to skip all of that because that's not what yielded fruit, and I think it's going to make the video unnecessarily long and go to what actually yielded results for me. I got the idea of just reaching out to senior people that had gone through my specific program and who had gone ahead to get a PhD for themselves. So this idea came to me and that turned out to be the most effective. That was how I was able to get a list of programs, a list of institutions that were very suitable for my academic background and that offered what I was looking for. So I reached out to them and a lot of them did not gatekeep. They told me the information that I needed about their program, about their school and all that. And that is how I had a short list of institutions that I was going to be reaching out to. Most of the institutions were in Europe, but I had my eyes on Sapienza really. I had my eyes on Sapienza in Rome and other universities, Padova, Trieste. Yeah, I had my eyes on all those other universities. And then that was how I got my short list of institutions. I mean, there are a whole lot of things that you could do to search for scholarships, to search for programs of that sort. But to me, I think the most effective and the most efficient way to go about this is reach out to people who have the similar academic path as you and talk to them about their programs, and that way you're going to get information that is best suited to your situation. So that is what I did. And a process that would have taken me, say, maybe 3 months just searching for institutions that were suitable, I think it took me like more or less 2 weeks, and I had my short list of institutions and I had the information that I needed about when they made out their call for applications, and I had forehand information about the documents that were required for the application. So I was ready to start preparing for the applications ahead of time. Now we're going to niche down a little and talk about the documents that were required, because most of the institutions in Italy had similar requirements when it came to the documents that were needed for the applications. So I was told beforehand that I needed documents around my research project, that is your proposal for the research that you will want to carry out in the institution. You need a motivation letter, and then you needed reference letters, yes, from people who could vouch for you from your academic background, and then from your professional background you needed references. And then also you needed your transcripts and then your certificate from your master's program or your attestation, whatever you had at that moment. That was the main list of documents that I was told that I needed. And of course, when the call for applications was made, it was obvious. Even when you check other calls in the previous years, because that's always a smart thing to do, check other calls in the previous years to see what is usually asked as documents. So I checked, and it turned out to be true, to be accurate information. And okay, so I started preparing those documents. The preparation of the documents in themselves, I would say they took on average three weeks, something of that sort. 3 weeks, 1 month, because the research proposal is what takes time. And my advice is that always start working on what is most difficult, the research proposal, because even if the call for applications has not yet been made, think of what you could propose. And if you have no experience, no prior experience writing a research proposal, this is good for you to practice. So you just practice and send it to whoever is available to give you comments on it, and you get comments and you improve while waiting for the call for proposals, because it is a call for proposals that is going to confirm that what you're actually proposing is in line with what they are looking for. So in the call, they are going to tell you want topics around that, so you're going to see if what you're proposing is a good fit for what they are looking for. Another very important point that I almost left out that is very critical is that before the call for applications was made, I had already identified the institutions that usually offer the type of thing that I was looking for, and I went to their website and explored their website. And in their websites, you see prominent professors in that institution. And one of the things that I did was that I sent out cold emails to these professors, and it was very important to send out the cold emails before the call for applications was made. And when I sent out cold emails, I got replies. Yes, I got replies from three professors, and in a space of 2 days. Yes, so one replied immediately and the other 2 replied the next day. So when they replied, some asked to schedule a Zoom call so that we could talk face to face, talk more about my objectives and what I was looking for and all that, what my background was like and all that. So we did that, and it was like, okay, the conclusion of all that came from all those calls was that when the call for application comes up, you put in your documents, you put in your application. And this was very critical because just having to converse with these professors, most of them are part of the members of the jury that are going to go through the applications that come in and decide who gets the scholarship or not. So just talking to them, you have a better idea of what they're looking for, you have a better idea of the skills that they're searching for, you have a better idea of what their department's objectives are. So this really helps you to put together your proposal and also prepares you for the interview phase, because it's usually like a phase 1 for the application where they study the documents and read your research proposals, check your CV and your background and your experiences, and then a phase 2 where you have a one-on-one conversation with the jury, and they ask you questions to understand a bit more about your background and how apt you are to actually take the journey that you are applying to take. So that was very, very extremely helpful. And I should say that these cold emails were sent about a month before the call for applications. The calls for application, yes, was made, because the funny thing with Italy is that the calls for applications are usually made around the same time. So the timeline is usually very, very similar. Okay, now when the call for applications were finally made, I just had to do the polishing of the documents, going through one last time to make sure that everything aligns with what was specified in the call for applications, because most of the times it's like a really lengthy document and you have to read through to make sure that you understand every aspect of the call, you understand everything, you understand the processes, you understand the documents that are required, you want to make sure that all your documents are in place and all that. So that took like should I say 2 weeks, because if I'm not mistaken, the call comes and then there is a deadline like 1 month after the day was made, or 3 weeks, something like that timeline. So I didn't want to wait for the last hours to put in my application, because I was advised not to do that. And that is advice that I will give you if this is something that you are considering. Do not wait for the last minute to put in your application, because sometimes the websites are going to start misbehaving in the last minute, and you're going to find yourself very frustrated. Imagine having gone through all this work to put together all these documents, and then finally you cannot put in your application. It's the most frustrating thing that could happen. And also another error that I almost fell into was not checking the application process, just putting together my documents and not going into the website, creating a profile, and then starting the application process. Because sometimes you tell yourself, oh, I'm just going to first put together documents, and then this is probably going to take me like a few hours, and then I'm done. And then you log in and you see that the process is quite lengthy. There are a lot of things that could bother you, or a lot of things that need more time than you assumed they were going to need, and a lot of processes that come with complications, or things that you do not understand and you need guidance for. All of that is going to take time. So always put in your application early. Start exploring the submission process early enough. And there's usually like an application fee that you pay. From my experience, most students, especially most international students, usually have a problem paying this fee, because there is it's usually paid through Pagopa. There's an Italian payment system. Most of the times when you try to pay with a card from your country, it's like it declines or it doesn't work, and then you need to find somebody to do that payment for you. So those are things that could bother you a bit, okay, and you should avoid them. And this application fee is usually 35 euros, 25-30 euros, in that range. It doesn't vary too much from this, but that is the range of the application fees. It's non-refundable, and for every application you're going to have to pay. Okay, so the next phase is the phase after the applications have been studied, because usually on the website for each department it will be specified at what time, on what date, the results for the first phase are going to be published, and where they are going to be published. Is it going to be on that website? Is it going to be sent to the email of the applicants, and so on and so forth? So the timeline generally is like after you submit your application, the deadline for submission of applications, it's usually like 2 to 3 weeks later, and then the results for the first phase are out. The call is a lengthy document, and you're going to have to be patient enough to read through that document and master every aspect of that application process. So this is part of, if you cannot give yourself the time, the patience, if you do not have the patience to go through the application, the call for applications, and master every part of the process, then are you going to have the patience to actually go through that PhD program? So be patient enough to read and master every aspect of it, because sometimes you do not even understand Italian, and a lot of things are going to be in Italian. Some of the things in the website, so you're going to see some words that are not familiar and things like that. You try to translate and you're not so sure, you have doubts. So all of that, start early enough, be patient with yourself, and ask questions where you do not understand. So as I was saying, for my case, I needed to send out an application because it was specified in the call. If you cannot be there in person, you send out an application to the PhD committee asking for permission to take the call online, okay, through video call. So I had to do that, and just you send the application, and it usually takes like they reply almost immediately and tell you if it's okay, as long as you sent it with justification and all that. They tell you if it's okay, if they'll be expecting you on the call and all that. So for me, it went well, and I went to the call. The interview was scheduled for like just, I think, 5 days after the publication of the results of the first phase. So note that you may not have too much time to prepare for the interview. But however, it is all of this is usually stated on the website or of that particular department, or somewhere in the document of the call. Okay, so finally, when the overall results are published, you get to find out if you succeeded or not. And in my case, I succeeded. And you think that you have gotten most of the work done. That is not true. there is still a very cumbersome, very mundane phase, a phase that is much more about administrative processes, a lot of bureaucratic stuff like that involved. And this I found this really hectic. I found this quite hectic, and I think we should talk about that, because when you are finally admitted to the program, you have like a list of documents. These are no longer preliminary documents, but not documents that are more detailed documents that require you going through a lot of legal processes in your country. You're certifying a lot of things, you're legalizing a lot of things, you're going to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you're going to whatever ministry that is for your country, you're going to the embassy, you're applying for your visa, all of that. There's a whole lot of things for you to do. And my advice with this is learn to talk, learn to ask, like be inquisitive, ask questions, ask a whole lot of questions, ask so many questions. So it's good to always have a contact, have someone who has gone ahead of you, ask as many questions as possible to them, go to the processes, show up for your appointments on time. This is going to help you a lot, because these processes are not going to come cheap. The processes are going to be expensive, and you cannot count on your stipend to carry out these processes, because these processes, well, it's only after you've put together these documents and submitted that you have access to your stipend. Put a chunk of money aside. Honestly, in my case, I would say in Cameroon, I spent almost 500-600 francs CFA, yes, for all those processes. And this doesn't include the your transportation costs, and like moving from your flight ticket and finding a house. All of that is on you, so put aside a chunk of money. Now, for the timeline for all these administrative processes, I think it would really vary, but it's going to be shortened if you are a very smart person, and if money is not a setback at that point. If you have money available to do all the processes that you need to do, you need several translation of documents, several legalizations, it's just a lot. It's just a lot of things to do, and these things you're going to have to be very smart to be able to do these things on time and to do them well, the way that they ought to be done. I think that the timeline to have done all of this was 4 or 5 months. Yes, around 4 or 5 months after you have gotten the admission. So you imagine that this is a lot. You would think that after the admission, oh, you're good to go, you just need a visa, and no, it doesn't work like that. All the processes that you need to do, they are all time sensitive, because at some point the embassy is going to tell you, like, we are no longer granting student visas. After this date, we are no longer granting student visas. If you had not yet gotten to the stage where you had put in your application for your visa, that is going to be a problem for you. So as I said, it's not something that I can oversimplify, but I'm simply sharing what my experience was like, so that it helps you. It gives you an idea of how alert you have to be, and maybe the amount of work that is needed, the amount of effort that is needed from you on your side. So yeah, that was basically it. The processes that you go through after having gotten into the program are quite essential, because you still risk losing your scholarship if you cannot meet the deadlines to submit, put in all the documents that are required of you, and so on and so forth. So this is as critical as the steps that led you to getting into the program in the first place. So you take them as you take them as seriously as you can, because it will be quite sad to have gotten into the program and then, because of bureaucracy and administrative issues, you lose the scholarship, or you lose I don't think, if you're not on a scholarship, you may not necessarily lose your spot in the program, but if you're on a scholarship, you may lose your scholarship. So you still need to work as hard as you can, go as fast as you can, and know that bureaucracy is not something that you can always control. You don't have total control over it. Sometimes it's just going to be very frustrating, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So try to start doing it as early as possible, so that no matter how frustrating it gets, you know that you have bought yourself some time, you're gained in time, and voila, that really is the whole thing. I believe I succeeded to give you a summary of the processes and the timelines that are applied in my case. And if I forgot to talk about any aspect, please let me know in the comments so that I make a video about that. And if you have just gotten admission into an Italian institution and you have any doubts, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to create a video about that. And as I keep saying, these are my personal experiences. Another person might have experienced it in a different way, but I'm sharing it the way that I experienced it, and I'm saying what actually worked for me and hoping that you can pick 1 or 2 lessons from my case that will be useful to your particular case. And if you're new to my channel, hey there, welcome. I'm Dinta, and I love to share lessons that I learned in my early adulthood years, career, relationship, business in this channel. And if this is your first time, do well to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell because I am that friend, that peer that you need. Until next time, bye.